Hello, welcome to my injury reduction plan presentation. I will be discussing prostates of cyclists and what strategies can be taken to reduce the irritation and damage to cyclist prostates over time. So, especially in frequent cyclists who ride long distances and ride their bikes often, they experience prostate irritation and damage, and specifically when so much pressure is being put in the perineal region of the cyclist, it can lead to extreme irritation, such as itchiness, and it also can reduce the size of the prostate over time, which can lead to frequent urination, especially in older individuals who have ridden very far in the past. And so our clinical question today is, what strategies can be taken to reduce the amount of damage to a cyclist's prostate while on the bike? And so one simple and effective strategy is to change the shape of your bike seat. So here we see a regular bike seat, which is used in a high-performance road bike. And here you can see that it is made of a hard material, and that it has a nose which can put extra pressure on the perineal region of the cyclist, causing irritation and damage, as we talked about. And then here we see a prostate safe no-nose bike seat, which completely eliminates the nose, thus reducing the amount of pressure put on the perineal region. And this is a chart which shows that the no-nose bike seat, it applies 2.9 pounds per square inch of force to the prostate, while that's a regular bike seat, applies nearly 3 pounds per square inch of pressure, while a no-nose bike seat applies 1 pound per square inch of pressure to the perineal region. And so that suggests that no-nose bike seats will be effective in reducing prostate injuries and damage to cyclists. But there are some cons to no-nose bike seats, such as less control of the bicycle, because it limits your range of motion side to side and forward and back on the bike. So it's and then it also weighs more, and it's less aerodynamic, so and then it also doesn't come stock on most bicycles, so it comes at a cost of performance, really. So that's why you don't see it on most high-end bicycles. And then another strategy that can be used to reduce prostate irritation mostly is proper use of a chamois pad while riding. And so this typically will come stock in bike-specific shorts. And the important things to know with chamois is that it's important to clean them, because it can lead to bacteria, which can infect saddle sores from friction while riding. And then also that a lot of people go and try and find the thickest, squishiest chamois, but that is not always the best idea, because it's more important how dense the material of the chamois is than how thick it is. And so Castelli, who made the first chamois, said that the ideal width is 8 to 13 millimeters. And it's also important to note that there are different chamois for different body types and riding styles. So you could get one that is made for someone with like a different shape than you, and that could cause irritation as well. And then it's also important to note that these don't last forever, and so if you really want to reduce the amount of irritation to your prostate, that it's probably worthwhile to get new chamois often. And then another important strategy that can be used to reduce the amount of pressure on the perineal region is to make sure that you have a appropriate saddle height. And this also can reduce the risk of other musculoskeletal injuries as well. So some important things to know when setting up your bicycle with an appropriate saddle height is the heel to toe method, where you'll see this cyclist has the cranks at a 6 o'clock position, so they're completely vertical. And then the cyclist has their heel on the pedal on that down on the lower foot, and so but then the leg is straight. So if there's any bend in the leg, that would indicate that your seat is too low, and if your heel can't reach the pedal, then that would indicate that your seat is too high. And then some other things to consider is Greg LeMond, one of the greatest road cyclists ever, came up with a equation to determine your saddle height, and that would be your inseam, which is from your groin down to your toe, and then multiply that by 0.833, and that should be the height from your bottom bracket to the top of your seat, which is an easier way of figuring out your saddle height. However, there are minor discrepancies, so it's important to consider crank length and pedaling style. So some people like to pedal with their heels down, and some people like to pedal with their heels up. And it's also important to remember that no more than 60% of the rider weight should be on the saddle. So the outcome from these 3 strategies is that no-nose saddles can be used to apply less pressure to the perineal region, but come at a cost of performance. And so if you are a high-performance athlete who needs a lighter weight, more aerodynamic saddle that allows you to move fully, it's important to use a chamois properly in order to reduce the irritation of the prostate, and then as well as make sure that the saddle height is appropriate and that you're not putting more than 60% of the weight on the perineal region at the seat. So make sure your saddle height is correct, and here is my works cited. Thank you. All right, that's good.